Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Man, talk about clash of the titans, right? I saw this fight getting made, and that's the first thing I thought. It was like, that's a ridiculous amount of power between these two guys in the ring. And then I started thinking about it a little bit, and I was like, who does have more power? Right? I mean, both these guys are known for their ridiculous knockouts, for going out there and hurting people. But who really, truly does have more power between the two of these guys? Right? I think it's a fair question. So I started to think about it. And the first thing you have to do when you contemplate a question like this is define what true power is. Okay? And a lot of people get it confused. Okay, when I say power, I'm talking about real, true, one-punch knockout power. Okay, not the power from accumulation, because a lot of guys do that. They can get it. They can land an accumulation of punches and score a lot of knockouts. Okay, not the type of power that comes when you land a shot that a guy doesn't see because you've got great speed, you disguise it well, you've hurt him already, something like that. None of that. I'm talking about real, true power. Okay, now both these guys got it. Okay, they've got it through the roof. Not everybody does. Just because you're a heavyweight doesn't mean you have it. More heavyweights have it because they're bigger by default. But it's really a rare thing. And I'm of the belief, old school belief, you're born with it. A real true puncher, that's something you're born with. It's not made. Everybody can get better by training, using certain techniques, turning your punches over, getting faster, balance, blah, 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 all kinds of stuff like that, right? So everybody can deliver a better punch no matter what you start with. But a real true puncher, they're not made. They're born. Okay, that's all there is to it. You either got it or you don't. Okay, so both of these guys got it. I mean, man, these guys punch so hard, they're the type of guys that'll hurt you punching you in the elbow. Okay, they might score a knockout. I mean, think about Ngannou's fight with Cain Velasquez. He actually tore up his knee. It was like an ACL or MCL. He landed a short little uppercut on the inside. Dropped Velasquez so hard, so fast that he blew his knee out. That's the kind of power he's got. Okay? So you think about the power between these two. And the truth is, they both got more than enough power to knock you out with one shot. They've already proven it, right? The human body can only stand so much, and it's going to just shut down. And both of these guys have more than enough power. They don't even have to land their power strike. Rozenstruik's really hurt guys with jabs, knocked them down with jabs, and then finished them off with a couple more. Ngannou's landed with both hands. The ridiculous left hook against Overeem, where he almost decapitated him. The right hand against Blades. I mean, he's landed with both hands with great power. So both of these guys have more than enough power, all right? And in both hands. We already know that. So even then, the question of who has more power is kind of irrelevant because they both got more than the thresholds required to knock a human being out. Well, and pretty easy, right? So then you get really down to what matters, the key question, which you never hear people talk about, which is landing the power. Who can land the power? Okay? Because landing the power is different than having it. You line both these guys up in the gym against a heavy bag, they're going to destroy it. Not, punch a hole in it and knock it through the wall. You put both of these guys in front of one of those machines where it's testing the PSI of your punch, they're both going to test through the roof, okay? And that's great, but that's not the same as landing that punch in a fight against a trained opponent who's doing his best to avoid that strike and throw something back at you, okay? That's completely different. Now, it's funny. You look at Rozenstruik, he's kind of odd a little bit. Okay, this guy's got like 82 professional kickboxing fights, but when you see him in the octagon, every now and then he shows little elements of inexperience almost, I want to say, right? Like he's almost, he keeps his hands in his pockets a little bit too much. He's a little bit too hesitant. That's for sure. He doesn't throw enough. Okay, and when he does throw, he doesn't really throw combinations all that much. It's like he doesn't want to commit. And I'm not sure what it is because when he does let his hands go, his strikes come off really smooth. they're pretty fluid. You can tell that he's a good striker. Okay, he's landed that jab a few times and done real damage. He has good inside leg kicks and things like that. So why exactly he holds back quite so much, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's because he's so inexperienced on the ground that he's worried about getting taken down like he did against Overeem. So he ends up holding back so much. But it's very apparent, and it's definitely a big negative when he comes to his striking. Okay, he's scared to let loose. I mean, scared, I use that word hesitantly, but I mean he just chooses not to, right? He chooses not to let his hands go, and that's a big deal. Okay, and then when he does, he's not using combinations. He's just shooting one strike, and to be honest, half the time he's not even putting everything into it as far as speed's concerned, and I think it's because he doesn't want to commit. Okay, it's like he's shooting these punches out there in almost a 50 or 60% fashion, right? Keeping his weight back. Now, compare that with Ngannou. Okay, Ngannou's got every strike in the book, man. He's been getting better and better. He was on this huge run coming up, knocking everybody out. Runs into Stipe, lands a few shots against him, but gets taken down the whole time, gets beaten up and loses. But when you look at Stipe, even in that post-fight press conference, man, he was lumped up. Okay, Ngannou landed some good, solid shots against him. And he comes out in the next fight. He's got his hands in his pockets. Okay, loses one of the most boring fights of all time, that decision, and then rattles off 3 knockouts. Okay, against Blades, Arlovsky, and Overeem. Right? But think about it. Or I'm sorry, Velasquez. But think about it. The difference is very apparent when you watch the two of them strike. Okay? Number one, Ngannou's got faster hands. Number two, he throws his punches from more platforms. And what I mean by that is his feet are in different positions. He's leaning different shots. The punch that he landed, think about the punch that he landed against, that he really hurt Dos Santos with. Okay, he was actually behind him when Dos Santos came in with the overhand right, missed, Ngannou leans back. Dos Santos starts to turn his back, Ngannou comes around that corner, bang, catches him, drops him, finishes him. Okay, the shot that he landed against Velasquez. Velasquez tried to get in, goes for that takedown. Ngannou shrugs him off and lands that short little tight inside uppercut. Velasquez drops so fast, blows his knee out, lands a couple shots, fight over. Okay, these are from really different platforms, and it shows he's got the athleticism, the footwork, the ability to react and still land with power. That's a huge difference from what I'm seeing with Rozenstruik. Okay, that's a huge difference. He's landing with power against everybody. And that's a big difference than just having the power. And he's done it against much higher level competition over a longer period of time. I mean, Rozenstruik, he's got all the fanfare and the hoopla and everything, right? I mean, and rightfully so, he rattled off 4 knockouts in 2019. Okay, and he made Overeem's face explode, cutting his lip all the way down to the bone, right there. I mean, it was really impressive, right? So he's definitely earned it, but you got to keep that in perspective, okay? And the difference is that Ngannou's out there, he's got the power, he's landing against higher level competition. He's been doing it over a longer period of time, and he's delivering that power in more impressive ways. I mean, he's winning in every category in that regard, okay? And those leg kicks that he's landing too, those are more powerful than the leg kicks that Rozenstruik's landing. Are you kidding me? I think he landed like 2 or 3 of them against Dos Santos. Man, those did not look good. I can't imagine how many of those you could try to take. And if he lands some of those in this fight, that's also going to take away from the power that Rozenstruik has, because you need that front leg to be able to pivot off of that and be able to push off that to generate real power. So, the question, like I said, isn't who has more powers. In this debate, it's who can land with more power. And I've got to go with Ngannou in this one. He's just got what it takes. So I'm really looking forward to this fight coming up on May 9th. Man, I'm super excited that Dana White was able to pull it off. And this is definitely one of the better fights on a card that's already stacked.